My sister kept making digs at my marriage until I said one sentence that made her storm out. My sister got divorced earlier this year, and ever since then, she's been acting strange around me and my husband. At first, I thought she just needed time to process everything, but it became clear pretty quickly that something else was going on, something that had everything to do with my marriage. We were all staying at my parents' house for my mom's 50th birthday celebration. It was rare to get all 6 of us siblings together in one place, so everyone was excited. My husband came with me, obviously, and we brought our 2-year-old daughter. From the moment we arrived, I could feel my sister's eyes on us, watching our every interaction with this look I couldn't quite place. It was somewhere between disgust and jealousy. The first night at dinner, my husband mentioned he was planning to make his famous lasagna the next evening. My sister immediately chimed in with, "Must be nice having someone who actually helps out in the kitchen." I laughed it off, thinking she was joking, but her tone had this sharp edge to it that made everyone else at the table go quiet for a second. The next morning, when my husband and I were getting coffee together in the kitchen, she walked past us and muttered something under her breath about us being joined at the hip. Again, I tried to brush it off. Maybe she was just having a hard time being around couples after her divorce. I genuinely wanted to be understanding and give her space to process her feelings, but it kept happening. When we mentioned we were going to put our daughter down for a nap together, she said, "Wow, co-parenting while actually married. What a concept." When my husband grabbed my hand while we were watching TV, she literally scoffed and left the room. Every single interaction between me and my husband seemed to physically bother her. It was like she couldn't stand to see us happy. By the 3rd day, I was getting seriously frustrated. I'd been patient, I'd been understanding, I'd bitten my tongue so many times it was starting to hurt, but this was getting absolutely ridiculous. My little brother asked if anyone wanted to go on a hike before we all left the next morning. A few people said yes, and my sister immediately turned to me and asked if I was coming. I explained that I probably wouldn't because my husband had to work from the guest room for a few hours that afternoon, and I wanted to spend time with him after, since we'd barely seen each other all weekend with everything going on. Plus, our daughter was going through this cranky phase where everything made her scream, and the idea of hiking with a tantrum-prone toddler sounded like actual torture. That's when my sister rolled her eyes so hard, I'm surprised they didn't get stuck. She looked directly at me with this condescending smirk and said, "God, how codependent can you possibly be with each other? My ex-husband and I were never so attached at the hip like you two. We actually had our own lives and our own identities. It's honestly kind of sad and pathetic to watch you operate like this." Something inside me just completely snapped. I'd spent 3 entire days listening to her passive-aggressive comments. 3 days of her judging my marriage, my relationship, my choices as a wife and mother. 3 days of walking on eggshells around her feelings, while she showed absolutely zero consideration for mine or anyone else's. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Yeah, and look how that turned out for you." The room went completely silent. You could hear a pin drop. My sister's face went from smug to shocked to absolutely furious in about 2 seconds flat. She stood up, grabbed her bag from the couch, and walked straight out the front door without saying another word to anyone. We heard her car start up in the driveway, and then she was just gone. About an hour later, my phone started blowing up with notifications. She sent me this incredibly long text message about how I was the most insensitive, cruel, heartless sister in the entire world. How I deliberately threw her divorce back in her face during the hardest time of her life. How I was callous and mean, and she couldn't believe I would say something so hurtful just to hurt her.